things going here. Okay. Are we recording?
This is how every episode starts.
Right? He doesn't tell us, and he just starts...
Hey, what's happening?
Yeah.
He's been recording.
He never tells us. That Kevin guy over there that never wants to get in front of the camera and never tells us.
He's an excellent video editor.
Absolutely. Magician, some would say.
We
really don't even shoot the episodes. He just makes it happen.
Yeah, we don't exist. We are CGI.
Yeah, we're completely computer generated.
You're welcome, Kevin. He's like, what are y'all talking about? Are you ready to start Tech Tips now?
Welcome back to another episode of Tech Tips. My name is Sean Roop.
And I'm Chris Tripp with NeoRhino IT Solutions.
So today we're here to talk about our 10 tips for safe internet browsing. Chris, what's number one?
Number one would be getting a firewall put in place. So this device essentially will be used to monitor web traffic, and you can also use it to manage what kind of web traffic gets accessed through either your company or home. You can set these up to block things like Facebook for a business side. Like maybe someone's sitting on Facebook for 8 hours a day. You're able to see that on the firewall, and you can go block Facebook. As a company, just for efficiency's sake, you shouldn't be on Facebook all day, kind of a thing like that.
Right.
And then there's also the aspect of home use, where you can go into these firewalls as well and block your children from being able to access inappropriate sites in any way, shape, or form. And they are basically built to monitor and manage your web traffic in a way to where you can't access sites that are not safe. They pretty much upload like, hey, here's a whole list of all the sites that are there.
Right.
You want to block a category, you can block a category. Pretty much anything that you can think of that you would like to block on a website or prevent from accessing, you can install one of these, and that way you've basically taken the first step of preventing yourself from hitting those websites that are not going to be good for your computer because they contain either phishing or malware or things like that.
Right. On top of that as well, it will prevent attackers that do get your information from you being out on the internet from being able to penetrate your network. It'll help prevent that at least.
Yes, it'll be one thing that they have to figure out the username and password for.
Right. Or
gain access to your network so that they could gain access to their system, your system.
Yeah. So so number two would be to have an AV or an antivirus installed on your machine, one that preferably has anti-spyware built into it, and then keep that antivirus and your Windows platform up to date. And that will help secure your system.
Important.
Yeah, absolutely. in the occurrence that you do accidentally click or download a malicious file, that will help prevent your system from being compromised, essentially. Of course, not everything, nothing is 100%, but it's, there's so many products out there today that offer a 99% rate of protection.
And they do a really good job of it. And there's, dependent on which antivirus that you go with, with the anti-phishing and all that stuff, essentially what you're looking for is the amount of things that they're able to block. And the good thing to do is look up reviews for AV companies and pretty much find out who's the better one and then how much do you want to pay, because pretty much with AV, from what I've seen, the more you pay, the better you get, kind of a thing, because you're paying for higher grade technology to be installed on your computer to monitor your stuff.
Chris, what's our next tip?
Next tip would be to have browser extensions removed or verify the browser extensions that you are going to use. So essentially, browser extensions are like whenever you install Symantec antivirus, it has a web browser, safe web browser add-on. You can add that on there. There's some things that we notice a lot in the IT field where people would download like a coupon app and they have like this little coupon web browser app on there, and it leads them off not even to Google. You can type in google.com and it takes you to a site that's not even Google, and it's essentially it's a malware that you've installed on your browser, and they're really easy to obtain from what it seems. So be very cautious about which browser extensions that you want to add to your system, because there are a lot of malicious ones, and it's really easy for someone that has used a phishing website or a malicious website to basically add that onto your computer for just almost any reason. You have to accept the terms for the new account that you're creating with them, and they're like, oh, you have to install this.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
some of them are very malicious in the way they think, and as an IT person, we notice it, but a lot of people are out there just installing things, and then we'll get them after the fact, and we're like, oh, wow, you have like 3 coupon little apps. What
yeah.
even are those?
Right, yeah.
So
Yeah.
we remove those, definitely.
Absolutely.
And be cautious about which ones you do download. Tip number 4.
Well, I'm sorry,
Oh.
to expand on that, actually, another thing that we always recommend having like an ad blocker installed, an ad blocker extension.
Yeah. As an an extension, a handy extension to have would be an ad blocker. There's
Yeah.
Ad Blocker Plus, Ad Blocker Plus Pro.
Ad blocker. There's a handful of them out there.
That's true. That's very
and
true.
They do a really good job of removing those ads from your browsing experience. Some sites will
Force
tell
you
you
to enable it.
Yeah, they'll tell you to continue with your experience on this site. You need to enable it because that's their revenue they get from ads. But it'll block even things like ads off of videos. It'll remove the ads section from Google searches, which is really a wonderful feature.
Yeah,
to have.
definitely.
Yeah,
Helps out
and
to not click the wrong link.
right. And there's also browsers nowadays too that have that ad blocker capability built into them.
Yeah.
So that's something
Not
to
a
look
lot,
at as
but
well.
there's a few.
Yeah, there's a few out there. Yeah, so yeah, tip 4: setting up bookmarks for important sites.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so having your bank site, your any site that you access on a regular basis. So whether it be for your vendors, for a company or corporation, your personal banking website, your emails.
Just pretty much anything you log into, like even Facebook.
Yeah.
If you're repetitively getting on that social media site for work or just in general, and you could possibly get an email saying, "Hey, your account's been compromised.
Right.
Please change your password to Facebook." You go and click a link, and you're somewhere that looks similar to
Yeah,
Facebook,
and all of a sudden
then you type in your information, and all of a sudden someone else has your information.
Right.
And they've hacked into your account.
Right.
But in a real sense, you just gave it to them.
Right. So by having those important sites or those sites that you visit often bookmarked, it'll help prevent malicious phishing links and things like that from.
You can always go to the bookmark
Right,
instead of
instead
hitting
of
the
hitting
link.
the links in the
So
email.
if something says, "Hey, we need to change your password," or "You need to change your password," here's a link. Go to the website rather than going to the link, so that you
Right.
can prevent yourself from actually sending off your information to somebody.
Absolutely, yeah. So Chris, what's tip number 5?
Tip number 5, Sean, would be strong passwords. So we really would like to see a lot more strong passwords out there because essentially it makes it harder to crack into your account. There are some sites where you can also test your password strength, and then it'll tell you even how long on their programs that they would use to hack, or known programs,
Right,
how long
yeah.
it would take to crack into it. But pretty much default things, 8 characters, you need capital, lowercase letters, numbers, and symbols. All of that included in your password will make a secure password. The longer it is, the better. Some people have a 64 character limit, but
Yeah.
if you're typing in a 64 character password, you are very secure, and I don't think you would have any problems.
One thing to keep in mind too is to not only have a strong password, but have different passwords for each service. Don't use
yes,
the same
every
passwords
service.
for everything.
Everything, yeah.
And there's a couple tools out there that can kind of help you remember those passwords.
Yeah, like a KeyPass is
yeah,
one
some
that
sort
I
of
know
KeyPass
Yeah, you
application.
kind of save your password somewhere.
Yeah.
And the only drawback that I see to those is the one password to access all passwords.
Right, yeah.
So you one person gets that password,
Then they have access to
they have
everything.
access to everything.
But typically, those files will be stored locally anyways. So
True.
if they have access to your system, that's
They've got a
pretty
password.
much the least of your worries at that point.
Yeah,
so,
right. So Sean, what's tip number 6?
Tip number 6 is going to be link awareness, right? So making sure that you inspect links that you are sent via the web or email or IM to make sure that you know what you're clicking on. Make sure you inspect those links carefully, whether it be through a program like VirusTotal, where you can scan a link it'll tell you if it's malicious. You can right-click on the link to copy the URLs out of those links.
That way you don't have to go visit the link
Yeah,
directly
to
and then
see.
find out, oh wait, this is the bad site that installs the dang coupon.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah, so make sure you keep an eye on the links before you click on them. If worst comes to worst, if you have questions about a link and it looks questionable to you, instead of going directly to the link, Google the name of the company, Google the name of the website that you're trying to go to, and then use the link provided by Google. That way you know you'll be going to a safe,
legitimate
website,
Yeah.
right? And then on similar terms to that, if you receive an email or a request from an entity that's asking for personal or sensitive information, I always recommend that you call that company to confirm with them.
Definitely.
So say a bank sends you
Especially
an email.
a bank.
Yeah, right, exactly. Because a lot of times those are going to be phishing attempts. Most banks aren't going to send you emails asking you for the specific information, but it could be. So I always recommend people to reach out to that company and confirm with them before doing anything else.
Definitely.
So
Same concept if like you get an email from your CEO or
Right,
something,
absolutely.
asking for a bank transfer. Call that
Confirmation,
CEO to
yeah.
make sure, because that is definitely one of the biggest things that happens is you get an email that tells you to do something and it seems like it's legitimate and you go do it and then all of a sudden you've totally disgruntled the whole company.
right, right.
So.
Yeah. So, okay, Chris, what would be tip number 7?
Tip number 7 would be to verify the website is secure by making sure it says HTTPS rather than HTTP at the top. We can show some examples in the video here. Basically, what you're looking for is at the top where the URL is before anything, before the google.com, before facebook.com, there's a colon and 2 slashes, and right before that is an HTTP or an HTTPS. The S means it's secure. There's also a lock that is right next to that you can select to see the certificates and verify those are valid certificates,
Right.
to ensure that that's actually a legitimate website, because nowadays some hacking websites and phishing websites actually do go off and buy certificates and attach them to it, but
Right.
less so than they just make a HTTP website
Right,
and,
absolutely.
and say go click this and type in your
Yeah.
email and password, so.
That is, in particular, is really important for when you're going to enter any kind of sensitive information.
Any kind of sensitive information.
Personal information, credit card information,
Even
company
your name.
information, your name.
Yeah.
Anything like that. You want to make
Honestly,
sure
if
that
you're making an account on something and it doesn't say HTTPS at
show
the
that
top,
lock,
you may want to raise some red flags
Yeah.
of concern there.
look elsewhere, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So on that note, what would tip number 8 be?
So tip number 8, avoid advertisements and pop-ups, right? So a lot of sites nowadays will, have little pop-ups, a little advertisement, a little flashing advertisement in the corner.
Oh, you've looked into this before.
Yeah, exactly. So if you're interested in a product like that or in a pop-up and something in there interests you, don't click on those to look at them, basically. Go, just like we said earlier, go to Google, Google the name of the company, Google the product that you're interested in. And that'll be a safe way for you to get there.
Without falsely hitting the wrong websites.
Right, yeah, without going to a malicious site that
Exactly.
may be trying to gather some information or load a malicious piece of software.
Exactly.
And then another thing to be wary of is when you go to close those pop-ups and ads, be sure to make sure you understand how to close those correctly. A lot of times they'll put like false close buttons within the actual ad
That's
or within
true.
the pop-up itself that will, when you click on them, will
Actually
try to
initiate
install.
it, yeah.
Run a script, install a piece of malicious code, something like that.
Yeah,
So,
exactly.
always make sure you think twice before clicking to close those out.
Most certainly.
So yeah, with that, what would you say tip number 9 would be?
Tip number 9 would be downloading files. If you can, and at all costs, try not to download things online unless you're intentionally doing so. Essentially, what we want to bring awareness to in this aspect is mainly exe files, zip files, RAR files, anything like that could contain a malicious piece of software.
Right.
It could run a script in the background if you try to open it. Essentially, those are installer files or something that's going to extract information onto your machine. And so those would be like the top 3 to look out for. But pretty much any time you download anything, make sure you know what you're about to download. I know I've done some deep surfing for like downloading specific books on things, on like as PDFs, and then they'll take you to some phishing website that says make an account here and then go here and
Right.
there, and then you're about 12 accounts in and you're like, I don't think I'm going to get this book from this PDF.
Right. Yeah, just always be wary of the source. Never download anything from an unknown source. that's just the safest way to go about downloads on the internet, basically.
And if you have any questions about it, like Sean's been mentioning, just go to Google, go directly to the website, and make sure you're downloading the right software or document or anything along those lines. So
and real quick, just to touch on that too.
Sir.
So a lot of sites now that offer like freeware or applications that don't cost anything to purchase, right? A lot of times they'll have like mirrored links, but then you'll go to click on those links and they'll have what appears to be a download button, but it's not really a download button for that particular piece of software. It's more like an ad.
So knowing the sites definitely.
Yeah, knowing the sites
well.
and then just being careful when you go to download those pieces of software to make sure that you know you're getting what you're after, basically.
Exactly. Yeah, makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So tip number 10.
Tip number 10, adjust your browser security settings, right? So within each browser, and it's different depending on each browser that you're in. But
and we can provide links for how to on like the main three: Google Chrome, Firefox, and Internet Explorer.
Internet Explorer or Edge.
Oh yeah, Edge. That's right.
But
the new one.
Yeah, right. But having your security settings set within your browser to fit your browsing habits, right? So for some people, it's probably beneficial to have them turned all the way up if you're not really out on the internet, looking for files or trying to run applications on a web, page, things like that. For most general browsing, that's going to work perfectly fine for you. But if you're a little more knowledgeable on what you're looking for on the web and you need to lower your settings for something, that's okay. Just be careful of
cautious
of what you're doing. So
know the site you're downloading from.
Yeah, absolutely. So so with that, those are our 10 tips for safe browsing.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! If you have any comments or concerns on any of the steps we've gone over today, feel free to leave them in the comment section below or visit us at neorhino.com/techtips.
Absolutely.
So with that, thank you all again for joining us for another episode of Tech Tips. I'm Sean Roop.
And I'm Chris Tripp, and we're with NeoRhino IT Solutions. Have a good one.
Bye.